Okay, what we've got going here is an old school Schumacher Mission. This chassis was originally released right around 2000, I think. So that'd make this chassis roughly almost 23 years old. I picked it up a few years ago when I was just curious about touring cars. At the time, I didn't want to spend the money for a modern uh, touring car chassis, being the cost that they are. I saw this chassis in a little shop, and I thought it would be something cool to fix up. Um, as you can see, it basically hasn't changed. I did pick up a Corvette body for it, and you can tell by the dust it's literally been sitting on the shelf for years. Let's get this body off and take a look at the chassis itself. All right, like I said, this is the original Schumacher Mission. Came out almost 23 years ago. What is different with this from most of the popular touring cars at the time? Most of the popular touring cars, like the Associated, the TC3, and the Team Lozi. I think they had I can't remember if it was a double X or if it was Street Weapon at the time, but they had composite plastic tub chassis. This one came with the full carbon double deck chassis. Something else that this car had that you didn't see back then was it was already using a version of the puck system from the factory. So I took up the slop, gave you a plastic part that would wear that you could replace without having to replace the dog bones. This kit came with aluminum screws throughout. I have replaced the top deck screws with stainless steel because it was the originals were the Phillips head screws that could wear out pretty quickly. And I'll probably replace most of the screws on here with the stainless steel just to make it easier to work on. It has most of I want to say the TC3 was a shaft drive. This was a belt drive. The Lozi was a belt drive, but it had one belt that's serpentine throughout the whole car. This car has got two separate belts. It's got one that goes from the spur gear drive to the rear diff, and then a separate one that goes from the rear diff all the way up to the front diff. This is a ball differential on both ends. The turnbuckles were also aluminum in this, and I believe the drive shafts as well were originally made out of aluminum material. Either aluminum or there's some kind of a molded composite. It's hard for me to tell for sure, but I can see the mold marks, but it doesn't feel like a plastic. It does have a little bit of a flex to it, so it may be plastic. But one of the things that really sparked my interest in this chassis was I recently stumbled across saying the Mission FT, and it really struck me how all of the suspension components, the bulkheads, where the shock towers mount up, all that stuff is exactly the same to the original Mission. And I do know that they have a conversion kit to go from the front wheel drive to the full wheel drive version for the Mission FT. The rear body mounts are different. These are mounted back on this plate. The newer style is mounted off the rear shock tower. The front end of the Mission and the Mission FT are a little bit different as far as the body mounts. The original shock tower on the front appears to have been modified. It's probably modified to fit a different body style. So if I want to, I should be able to just grab a front shock tower for the Mission FT and be able to put this back. The one thing that held me up on putting this back on the road is the battery mounting system. I really didn't feel like getting a 6L nickel metal pack, splitting it up and setting it up as side by side to mount it in the original location. So I was thinking I can mount a shorty lipo, but I have to come up with some kind of a system to secure it. And this car I purchased way before I got my 3D printer. And I was also looking at these shock stands that I make on my 3D printer. And it occurred to me, the dimensions are pretty close. So I could go into my software, change the dimensions of this, and print a battery box that I could then use the E6000 and glue into place and fix it up so I can run a strap, a single Velcro strap, and strap it in. So I think I'm going to work on getting this back on the road. I know I can get replacement parts for all the arms because they're the same as the FT. The only thing that I can't get that may give me trouble is this long drive belt that goes from the rear of the car to the front of the car. That belt is no longer available. I haven't been able to find a source for it anywhere. So if that belt ever snaps, then this one would be two-wheel drive only. But it'd give me a chance to play with a touring car, so we can see how I like doing that, and maybe in the future I will buy a touring car to mess around with. Maybe see if I can get something started when I get back to the oval as far as using touring car chassis. So that's it for today. I will be posting more videos of this chassis as it evolves and I get the electronics in it, get everything set up, get the body painted, that type of thing. So y'all have fun, enjoy RC, and don't spend a bunch of money doing it.